Hello and welcome back. Today we're in the work shed and we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. I have a 1965 Ampeg B-15N bass amplifier. This particular unit my uncle purchased brand new back in '65, so I know without a shadow of a doubt that it is OEM stock, never been touched or worked on before. I got the amplifier and the speaker connector, that plugs in. It's a 4-pin speaker connector and it was shorting out, so today we're just going to be doing something simple. We're going to be replacing this XLR 4-pin speaker plug. Now the cool thing about this amp, it's not just a bass amp. There was a lot of guitar players that used these back in the day. And when I mean the day, I'm talking about the mid-60s, the late 60s. If it was an Ampeg, yeah, a lot of guitar players used it. B.B. King, Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy, Chuck Berry. If you take a look at some old photographs, you will a lot of times see an amp just like this or very close to this model number, in some of these old photographs. It's a B-15N, which means it's the 15-inch speaker. A lot of studios use this to record. It was the house amplifier in a lot of studios. As far as the front's concerned, left side you got a guitar input, bass input, and an instrument channel. Well, channel 1 and channel 2. Guitar and bass can be on channel 1, and instrument, another kind of instrument, can be on channel 2. Volume, treble, bass, volume, treble, and bass. So you got channel 1 and you got channel 2. You got a on and a standby, a ground switch, just in case you have a polarity issue, because back then they didn't have a grounded plug. And then it's a simple off and on. A couple of rectifiers or power supplies. It is missing a screw that holds this little, this lights up, this little Ampeg piece of plexiglass. It's original. I want to find a screw to put in there, but now it's in really, really great shape. A little bit of surface stress. I'm not really too worried about that. The back is laid out pretty simple. Not a whole lot going on back here. Basically, it's just a power supply cord. This cord right here is for the speaker cabinet. I have a 3-amp fuse. Believe rectifier. I can't remember what that one is. A couple 6L6 power tubes and some 6L7 preamps. Hum control, external amp, I guess if you want a daisy chain, and an 8-ohm speaker cabinet in case you want to plug in another speaker cabinet. And on the top of these, you will see the model number. Let me see if I can get in here. This is the model B-15N. I believe the N stands for new design. Could be circuitry, I'm not really sure. But anyway, what's really cool about this one, let me spin her around here. It's a matching chassis with the cabinet. It's a good thing to have. Sometimes you can't do that, and I don't know if it would affect the value if you're a collector, but just to play through them, I don't think it really matters if you have a non-matching chassis with a speaker cabinet. But this is matching. I put a little white crayon on this. You can see that it's model or serial number 013592, it looks like. I got the top of it pulled off. Of course, this is a flip top, so the top inverts and you can take it off. But there's the cabinet. It's decoupaged on, so I know it's never been replaced, but it's got the same serial number 013592, model B-15N. That's inside the cabinet. On this particular amp, that's on the right side of the wall if you're facing the amp. It's got the original square magnet speaker. I've not really researched any of the numbers on this, but I know for a fact that this is the original everything. Everything on this is bone stock. It's really a clean example of this amp. Now, there's the 4 speaker wire connectors that come in through here, and that just simply plugs in with a 4-pin XLR, and that's part of the problem. Now this part is good. We're not doing anything with this. It's the plug that comes from the amp to the speaker cabinet is what we're going to replace today. This amp and amp cabinet is in really great shape. Even the corners, the metal corners for the cabinet itself, nothing has really been, these are not replaced. This is just in fantastic shape. The Tolex on the back, a lot of times they get scraped up on the back and on the corners on the sides right here, but this thing has sat in the, I think my uncle quit playing bass. I think he retired out, I think sometime in the late 70s, early 80s. So this amplifier has been in the closet since then. The front grille is in fantastic shape. It is a little dingy and yellow. I don't want to destroy the grill cloth material because everything is in really good, pristine shape. Other than the color, there's no tears, no snags, no rips, nothing anywhere. It looks like it spent a few nights in a smoky bar. I want to clean this up, but I want to do it the correct way because I don't want to damage this at all. Because I would rather have this original, even if it is a little discolored, than a brand new piece of cloth. I want this original grill cloth on here. Now once you take the amp off of the base plate, you can see the original schematics that are very well preserved. You know, everything here is crystal clear, nothing's faded out. So this is a really good, valuable piece to have. There's the model number. Outside of the, apparently it looks like maybe a transistor, not a transistor, but it looks like maybe a capacitor had been maintained at one point or another because it looked like the solder had been disturbed. But these are the original power transformers, you know, so I really like those. These are very expensive if you have to buy replicas or new old stock. Especially new old stock, they are very, very pricey. So these checked out fine, and I'm going to maintain them. They got a little bit of scuff here and there, but I think that adds character. Now, like I said before, this is a completely original unit, bone stock inside and out, never been touched. Now, this is how it is when I open up the back, or when I take the top off of the base. I see everything being original. It looks like there may have been a little bit of a repair or something here. You know, with this, I see looks like a couple of solder repairs on these two items, these 2 points right there. So that does not look like it's OEM. It looks like it's been desoldered and repaired at one time or another. You can tell, like this solder right here, you can see how dull it is compared to this solder, which is looking a little more silvery, a little more shiny, if that can focus in and pick it up. So that's a good telltale sign. But everything else, it looks really good. The pot dates, you know, the pot codes are correct on this. All right, I did check that out, and they're all original pots. They might be a little scratched. I did plug it in once before when the amplifier was kicking in and out because of the bad plug, but I think I might spray these out with some deoxit or something just to get rid of the scratching noise. I showed you the bottom. I want to show you the top of this. This is just basically a screen, a cage that protects the tubes and let it stay cool. You just take the two thumb screws off, which are really cool chrome knurled pieces. That's really nice touch there. You just simply lift that off. I'll set that over there. But this is just basically the tube layout. I think I'm going to use the old cover because it's got this really cool marking on it. It says AF4, patent applied for. The new replacement cover does not have that. So I think I want to try to keep this cover right here and reuse it. Also, the rubber butt end on the very back, the new replacement one says Switchcraft on it, whereas the old one has no markings on it at all. So I think I'm going to use both the cover or the main housing and the rubber plug also. And I will just replace this piece right here. Now, when I did take it apart, I see where the problem is. Basically, it looks like the white wire had a cold solder or just failed after all these years. And the Bakelite plastic right here, it just got so brittle that it tore out, and it's probably bumped, you know, it's over quite a few times over quite a few years. So this piece, I will replace the plug-in part, this piece right here, but I'm going to maintain the use of the original housing and the original rubber grommet. I just think it gives a little bit of cool aesthetic to it and maybe lends a little bit of originality to the looks of the amplifier. So I have the plug secured so I can pull on it. I already have my soldering tip warmed up. It should be ready to go. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut a lot of this stuff off here. I don't even want to try to salvage that. You know, I don't like working with twisted and gnarly looking ends on the wire, so I'm just going to cut that off. But before I do, I am going to measure what they have for the reveal as far as how far back to strip the insulation. Let me get one of these wires straightened out. I think the ground wire, or the green wire, is just as good as any, so I will come down here to the insulation. Looks like no more than just short of an inch, maybe about an inch and 3/8. I don't think you have an inch and a quarter. I don't think you have to be, you know, too horribly particular about this. I'm going to go inch and 3/8. Just give this a snip and we'll start from fresh. Alright, so I need to find my X-Acto knife, and we are going to measure back an inch and 3/8. So there's that's about an inch and 3/8 right there. So I'll just go ahead and make my mark right there. I can see it, you probably can't. Okay, so I just stripped the wires down, and I'm going to do a process what they call tinning, but I'm going to twist these, each one of them. Then I'm going to, I guess you call it, sweat some solder into the fibers of the wire, into the strands. That's called tinning. So when you go to do your final solder, the solder flows a lot better for a quicker solder. Grab a little bit of solder and put it on the tip of the soldering, because it's like kind of like priming the solder tip. You just want to get a little bit right there. You just want to go through these wires one at a time and just let that heat up and soak in. There we go. I like to flip a little. I like to take, if there's a little bit of a ball, excess solder on there, I'll flip it to kind of shake it off. Something, yeah, there we go, just like that. There we go. That is tinned. I like to do what they call balling solder. That way the solder's already here, and when it comes time to solder, I don't have to worry about holding a soldering iron and feeding solder. So basically these little tabs right here on the plug, I just load up a little bit of ball of solder there. I've already done the 3. Once you get it up there, it sticks pretty well. There we go. Alright, so these plugs, these little tips, they are number 1, 2, 3, and 4. They are numbered that way. The wires are also actually kind of laid out that way. So the first one we're going to do, per my notes, the blue wire, well, which I find out now looks to be green, that goes in spot number 1. So if I rotate that wire, if I rotate all the other wires, the blue wire or the green wire will go to number 1, the red wire number 2, the white wire number 3, and the black wire number 4. So it's already kind of laid out that way. So if you can solder the first wire that way, everything else will be lined up. But by pre-soldering this and loading up the wire, tinning the wire and loading up a ball of solder on the terminal itself, all I got to do really is just touch the wire to the terminal and touch the wire with the soldering tip, and there it goes. Just that quick. I don't have a lot of heat left onto the plug, which could make that brittle. Well, will make it brittle. There. Soldered. I know that I'm only using half of the plug that I purchased, which, by the way, I did get this on Amazon, and I have the receipt right here. The total was $11.64. I know you can get it cheaper elsewhere. Maybe there's an audio store near you, but I happen to get this one on Amazon. It was total with tax is $11.64. Guitar Center didn't have it. A lot of places didn't have it. I just wanted it, and I wasn't in a tremendous hurry, so I just went ahead and bought it off Amazon. Like I said, I am retaining the use of the old housing. And then, let's see if I can get a screwdriver to fit down in there. Then you screw it out, and it pulls the screw up into the housing. Like that. Okay. All right. I think I'm just going to send it down just about level with the housing so it doesn't catch on anything. Okay, that's it. I think I really like this idea because, like I said, I get to keep the original housing, so that lends some originality to it, which I'm really digging that. Yeah, I guess it's kind of too bad that I couldn't use this, but I don't know. I just like the old housing. I just think it looks more in place, and a lot of people will probably think, "What's the big deal?" But you know, I'm kind of into. I'm kind of a geek about this, so I like OEM parts, and this is definitely OEM. So now when it's plugged in, somebody looks at it, it is basically original. The only thing that's been replaced is the intersection, the female part. So. All right, everything is done. I got the Ampeg bass amp back up on the counter. So getting ready to plug it in, and let's see how we did. My pride and joy right here. This is a 1965 Fender Precision bass. Completely untouched, unbastardized, unbutchered. I cherish this thing. So anyway, we're gonna see how this thing worked out. I hope I don't embarrass myself with my playing skills or the lack thereof. Anyway, let's see if I can embarrass myself trying to play something on the bass. Here's a Zeppelin number we used to play. Okay, no excuses, but I did scorch myself with the soldering iron. Man, that is really killing me. So anyway, it looks like a success. So, all right, so if there's any comments you have about this particular amp, or if you have experience with the B-15Ns or any of the flip tops, you know, give me a call, because I would like to find sources for some of this stuff. Maybe a good amp tech. I'm in the southern Idaho area. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Like I said, the pots are a little scratchy, so I will pay some attention to that. So if you like this video or found it useful in any way, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you later. I tell you what, though, with these basses, this guard right here, it's kind of a pain in the ass. You know, so you're either kind of forced to play it ahead or behind it. And there's just, I don't know. It's just what it is with these old things. A lot of people take these off and they lose them or sell them. But these are original, so...